hard-hitting discussions. Your best choice for current affairs issues and investigative journalism. It's time to start the journey of relentless journalism. It's time to start the journey of facts over fiction. It's time for the Rundown with Clint Watson here on ZNS, where only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
We're coming for y'all again.
Are you ready for the hardest sports show on the market? It's called The Timeout. Sundays on the ZNS Television Network. In our first show, 4 decades of sports in the country.
At Harold One, I'm Ted Jervis, and this is ZNS.
The Rundown is brought to you by Commonwealth Brewery Limited.
Bahamas, and welcome to The Rundown. I'm Thea Ferguson, sitting in for Clint Watson tonight, and we're coming to you live from Georgetown, Exuma. I said we're coming to you live from where? Georgetown, Exuma. In partnership with the Small Business Development Center, the Tourism Development Corporation of the Bahamas, and the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, we bring to you Exuma Town Hall, Road to Economic Empowerment. We broadcast tonight from the St. Andrews Anglican Parish Community Center, where Exumians are set to be in first treat, hearing directly from national leaders in tourism, finance, banking, and small business development, as they explore opportunities for entrepreneurs to have a greater economic impact in Exuma and discover how they can access resources for their businesses. Because you see, despite the noise in the market, the partners here tonight say Family Islanders are not being left out. Even more so, they want to lay out in plain terms that Bahamians have an array of resources, agencies, and initiatives at their disposal to realize their entrepreneurial dreams. So for me, driving around the island today, you know, Exuma exhibited her natural charm. Quiet, reserved, very laid back. But insiders say there's a lot of untapped money-making potential that must be explored. A note for our viewing and listening audience, we've been here since about 6 p.m. and the event was officially opened with presentations on topics like the importance of financial literacy, how to access capital for your business, and of course, a prayer. If you're at home, keep your channel right here on ZNS TV, or if you want to take us with you, we're streaming live on both the ZNS and SBDC Facebook pages and across the airwaves on 50 and 40 AM and 104.5 FM. Before we continue, we want to pause now to recognize a couple of our special guests. We have Deputy Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for Exuma and Ragged Island, the Honorable I. Chester Cooper. Also in the house, yes, give it up. Also tonight we have Exuma Island Administrator Christian Palacios, as well as Chief Counsel for Exuma, Glenn Davis. And of course, you'll meet our lovely panelists later this evening. So let's get this show on the road. Who's ready to hear how we want to empower Exuma? Y'all ready? We begin tonight's broadcast with opening remarks from Deputy Prime Minister and MP for Exuma and Ragged Island, I. Chester Cooper.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Exuma. Good evening, Bahamas. When we talk about empowering Exuma, it's like music to my ears. When I got involved with public life, one of my key concerns was the ability of the government of Bahamas and the economy of the Bahamas to consistently empower its people, beyond the idea of just having jobs, to really fostering participation in entrepreneurship. You see, I've had a good life in private sector, in business life, and I wanted the opportunity to ensure that other young and not so young Bahamians would have the ability to participate in the economy as I did. So I'm very excited to be here tonight, and I'm grateful to the SBDC and all of its partners for putting on this great initiative to empower Exuma. I want to thank our hosts for being here and bringing this show to the Bahamas. And I hope that you will have an opportunity to showcase much of the charm and the exciting things that's happening in the island of Exuma. And I will tell Clint Watson that you're not sorry that he couldn't make it. But Exuma, this is an opportunity for you to really access all of the benefits being brought to you from the various agencies of government. Not just the SPDC, who's doing a fantastic job, and I want to give Samantha Roll a round of applause for the work she's doing. But likewise through the BAIC, the Bahamas Development Bank, the Venture Fund, and of course, the newest addition, the Tourism Development Corporation. I'm delighted to tell you that the government of the Bahamas is focused on expanding opportunities through all of the islands of the Bahamas. We're not Nassau-centric. We're not only focused on Grand Bahama, although some exciting things are happening right there, right now, there, and tomorrow, but we're focused on all of the islands of the Bahamas. For example, the Tourism Development Corporation recently launched a grant to encourage Bahamians to participate in the short-term rental business. And I am pleased to tell you that family islanders, including Exuma, were the largest recipients of grants from the Tourism Development Corporation. We are setting a trend, and we know that the SPDC, the Bahamas Development Bank, and the other agencies will participate equally in helping us to expand opportunities for all family islands. During the budget debate that's coming up very soon, it will likely be under that theme, expanding opportunities, one island at a time. So I'm delighted we're starting here, empowering Exuma, and I hope with all of the foreign direct investments coming to the island of Exuma, and with you taking advantage of these opportunities, we will be a shining example for the rest of the Bahamas that the time for economic empowerment is right now. We're a young country, we're a progressive country, we have improved in social upliftment, we have achieved political independence and national independence, and it's that time right now for economic independence. And I'm delighted that you're joining us and you're part of this movement. This is a movement and it requires all of us to participate and be committed to empower Exuma and to economic independence. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, DPM Cooper, for those welcome remarks. We'll toss it to a break now, but when we get back, you'll meet the rest of our panelists and the conversation on Exuma's road to economic empowerment gets underway. You're watching The Rundown. Stay tuned.
Been an electrician for 18 years. And one day I just lost my sight and found that I was in a totally new world. I just found this strength that came from nowhere. And here I am today. Even though I am faced with disabilities, the fire in me, it never went out as related to me being an entrepreneur. But the barrier is just people being understanding and willing to take a chance on somebody like myself. My dream is to see where the government can really pass laws, legislation to assist people like myself. And whether you believe it or not, we do have something to offer this country. We have to make people understand that we are here. And not in many cases we're looking for handout. We want to make a contribution. You gotta live. And part of living is that you gotta take charge of your life. And through programs like this with the SPDC, I know for a fact that my business can now come to life.
For more information about how the SPDC can help your small business to make a big impact, give us a call at 461-7232 or visit spdcbahamas.com.
This is the Little Caesars Stuffed Crust Pizza. It's a whole new level of pizza with cheese stuffed crust so spectacular that there's nothing left.
Pizza.
A delicious pepperoni pizza with the crust stuffed with lots of cheese and brushed with butter and garlic flavor and sprinkled with Parmesan cheese. Hot and ready, simply irresistible. And only at Little Caesars in Oaksville, Carmichael, East Street South, and the Charles Sanders Highway. See Little Caesars BS on Facebook and Little Caesars Bahamas on Instagram for more info.
Pizza.
Welcome back to The Rundown, live from the Exuma Town Hall, where we're dissecting and analyzing ways to bring more economic relief to the island. Let's meet tonight's panelists. So not only did he bring us our welcome remarks tonight, but Deputy Prime Minister Cooper, who also serves as Member of Parliament for the island, is staying with us to have a little chat about how we can boost Exuma's economy. He says he remains committed to empowering his constituents and unlocking opportunities across the island. And as he said in his welcome, it sounds like music to his ears anytime he talks about boosting the economy of Exuma. So thank you so much, DPM, for staying with us. Also on tonight's panel is Samantha L. Roll, Executive Director of the Small Business Development Center, where she leads with a bold vision to strengthen entrepreneurship and drive inclusive economic growth across the Bahamas to shape a resilient future for Bahamian communities like Exuma. Let's welcome Ms. Roll to our panel tonight. And next to her, we have Erin Hanna, who is the newly elected president of the Exuma Chamber of Commerce and branch manager at RBC Exuma. His leadership reflects a strong commitment to collaboration, economic growth, and creating new opportunities for Exumians. Welcome, Mr. Hanna. And last, but by no means least, you heard from him earlier tonight, Gowan Bowe, Group CEO of Fidelity Bank and Trust International Limited, and a respected voice in the financial sector across the Bahamas and the Caribbean. I can tell you, I was taking my IDP notes because I got to, learn, become more financially literate. That's for all of us, right? But as a former Chamber of Commerce chairman and advocate for financial literacy, Mr. Bowe is committed to empowering entrepreneurs and shaping sustainable growth throughout the community. That is our panelist tonight, you guys. I think we are in for a treat. Now I want to hop and skip and jump over DPM Cooper as well as Ms. Roll and take it right to Mr. Hanna, because we need you to give us the lay of the land. Tell us what's happening in Exuma. What is happening here economically? What are some of the trends? What are some of the challenges? Let's just set the pace for tonight.
Good evening, all. Thank you, Ianthea, for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here. So when we talk about the current landscape of Exuma, well, let's start with a little backstory for me. I mean, I recently relocated to Exuma about 3 years ago, and what I can say is that I've observed a lot of new things happening, and there's still a lot of new opportunities to be realized. Foreigners coming in wanting to buy second homes or vacation homes with the intent of having a second home and even potentially renting those properties. There have been a lot of other foreign direct investment, a lot of projects going on. For example, you have the Torch Key project that's under full swing. There was a recent announcement about Amankaya coming down in the that's Children's Bakey. So there's a lot of foreign direct investment that is happening, and second home ownership construction is big. And so right now, the opportunities are not only in the tourism space, but also within the housing space, construction space, right? And that would bring me to what I consider to be an opportunity for Exumians and particularly developers who are looking to develop properties. And it was mentioned previously before that, and realtors will also back this up, that we believe that there's a shortage of supply in the long-term rental market. And I'm a firm believer that we need to look at this opportunity as a way to grow the economy, because we need people, we need skilled laborers to come in and offer different services that may not already be existing here. Again, as it's been mentioned before, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few, right? And there are particular skills that are still needed. And so I would say that as we continue the conversation around trying to drive economic empowerment for Exuma, we definitely need to consider, for me, one of the major opportunities is around long-term housing so that we could get the people here to offer those additional services, that we can continue to offer those authentic experiences, as well as serve any other niche markets or any area that we don't have sufficient skilled laborers in.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I want to pass the mic now to DPM Cooper. So Mr. Hanna mentioned a lot, and he said, sorry, that's my mic. You know, saying that the land is plentiful. There's a lot to expect here in Exuma. There's a lot, like I said early in my opening, you know, so much untapped potential, so much untapped opportunities. Where would you advise Exumians to look? How would you advise them, I guess, to start their search for this economic empowerment that they're searching for?
I think wherever you are in the country, tourism is driving the economy. Upwards of 60+% of the overall economy on any island of the Bahamas is tourism. So you must first look at the tourism industry. And there is a severe shortage of hotel rooms in Exuma across the country. So there's opportunities, as we all know, for short-term rentals. As Aaron pointed out, also for long-term housing. We must look at tourism as the driver, but we must look at all of the opportunities that are indirectly connected thereto. Agriculture, for example, if you had the opportunity to get a containerized farm to be able to grow leafy greens, lettuce, etc., you would be able to supply the entire island of Exuma, hotels included, a part of the tourism industry, with all of the vegetables they need, rather than waiting for the mailboat. KB used to like to talk about bread. Why are we bringing bread into Exuma when it's an opportunity that we can fill right here, right now? It's an opportunity for young Bahamian or not so young Bahamian. We know how to bake, no matter what they say about us. We're some of the best cooks in the country too. So what I'm saying is we must look at the connectivity, the connections. Whilst we might have 7,000 to 10,000 locals living here, the population is much larger. We're still bringing fish from Long Island, for example, and other islands across the Bahamas. So all of these opportunities link back into tourism, and we must simply look at a problem that exists and seek to solve it. Start at a very basic level and move from there. But I invite Bahamians to not just think of the small things, think big. We can own a hotel. We can own a chain of grocery stores. We can own containerized farms that supply all of the agricultural products we need. We can be a part of commercial fishing that provide fresh fish, not just for locals, but for tourists as well, as I've said. And then there are the obvious, like the tours, the direct links to tourism itself. There's still much to be possessed, and I invite Exumians to be creative, be innovative. If everyone's doing a pig tour, there's an opportunity to do a tour going to Little Exuma. We are the beaching capital of the Bahamas. So the reality is that there's opportunities not yet discovered that with a little creativity and funding from Sam at the SPDC, we can do wonders.
Awesome, which leads me right to my next question for Ms. Roll. So we heard so many business ideas. You can be proud of me, Gowan. I came up with like 5 just from what he just said, right? And I hope y'all were taking notes as well. So we hear that there are so many opportunities, so many things that we can pursue and look into. Tell us where the SPDC sits, because we know you're poised to help Bahamians start these businesses. Explain for our audience here and watching at home what your role is and how they can take advantage of what you do.
Well, thank you so much, Ianthea, and good evening, Exuma. So it would be remiss if I don't share with you that I toiled from Exuma as well. Roll Town, Exuma. And so I am very proud to be here. I spent most of my day in Roll Town yesterday just looking at the development, what is happening in our various areas, commonage, family land, right? And the ownership. Because once it starts at owning land, right? And what you can do with that family land. But SPDC is one that is well diverse. And our services and offerings expand across all industries and sectors. It expands across the archipelago. You would have heard from my colleague of what we have done already to date. I mean, we've been able to fund about $92 million through grant, loan, and equity funding for small businesses across the Bahamas. And we've done that with our partners. We know that of that amount, Exuma has been, able to capture about $1.3 million of that. But I understand, I heard you earlier, that's not enough. We need more. And based on what is happening here on the island of Exuma and what is intended to continue to happen, there are great opportunities with SPDC. One of our key things is while we can provide access to capital is important. One thing to start a business, it's another thing to get the money in order to fund that business. But you want to be able to sustain. And so it's important through our programs that you indulge in our capacity building, in our entrepreneurial training, in our advisory support, because it's free 99. It's free 99, but it is absolutely invaluable. For us, we've done programs such as Women in Business. And guess what the first eligibility requirement is? That you have to be a woman. But men, we have not left you out because we also launched our Men in Business. And through those programs, we were able to fund, in one instance, over $600,000 to women entrepreneurs across the Bahamas. In another instance, we were able to fund men in various industries across the Bahamas in the tone of $600,000. And so there are programs, there are agencies, there is support available to help many of you realize whether it's a startup, and even if it's an existing business, maybe you need to regroup, revamp, rethink, or perhaps you just want to expand.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. And one of your partners is Fidelity Bank, and we have Gowan Bowe here. And earlier in his presentation, I made note of it, his IPD strategy. And the first thing was information. And Samantha talks about being informed about the programs and the initiatives at our disposal. Do you think people have, I know there's an inherent fear of money every time you hear the word money and going after big money. Do you think there's a fear of money, that financial illiteracy that you spoke about, that kind of keeps people away from even pursuing what's out there?
There definitely is a fear, and I think it's because we lack our own study and our own information that we are presenting. That very often we see ourselves as having to have someone do a favor. And when I say that, not in the derogatory sense, we are hesitant to be confident that we are presenting a viable opportunity. I think some of the issues are also the lack of collective investment. That if we look at our forefathers and you ask how many of them were successful in starting, it was as simple as ASU, where it was a grouping of individuals that threw hands, and they had business purposes. Sometimes that was the development of their home, that was the education of their children, or it was the start of a small business. But it was a group of persons working together, and that simply has evolved, but we haven't taken advantage of that. We often talk about what I'm going to call the individual entrepreneur going to find funding. As they say, many hands make light work. So what if we can get a grouping of 10 individuals who are like-minded, don't necessarily have to like one another to go social drinking together, but have common interests in a venture and set it up legally that allows them to be shareholders, contribute funds, and be held accountable to one another. So I think the issue that we have about the fear of money is saying that, am I worthy of it? As opposed to saying, I'm going to present why it is a good investment in me and the project I'm going to do, or a good investment in us and the project I need to do. It is important that we start with the basics and the foundation. I think I start from one basic principle. The government is a facilitator, not a provider. And so we don't look at the programs that the DPM has mentioned as being the provider. We look at those being the avenue to provide for ourselves. It is better to teach a man to fish than to give him fish. And so we need to make sure that the government's mindset is where he started by saying, how do we empower? Well, empowerment is not by having dependency. Empowerment is by showing how things are done, creating incubator programs, creating apprenticeships, opportunities, and then also having the learning opportunity to say, how do I sit down one-on-one? And to end to where you started in terms of fear, very often when the conversation is not in a public domain, it is one that persons feel comfortable, if you will, acknowledging their lack of understanding. They're willing to open and have a conversation. And then when they find out that it's just mythical, that it's difficult, and they can actually do this, but they have to go and do some work, meaning they have to get the information, they have to put the effort in, you find more persons coming back with a more realistic opportunity that will get them far further ahead than a pie-in-the-sky opportunity that is hoping someone to be an angel investor.
All right, thank you so much for that. Exumians, y'all scared of money? Are y'all afraid to go after money? Because according to Ms. Roll, they got plenty in the givens. And apparently, you know, Family Islanders seem to not be seeking out the SPDC as much as they should be. Do you find that to be true?
For the SPDC, we know that for the past 3 years, our strategic focus has been on Family Island development, and for good reason. I mean, we understand that there are different challenges compared to New Providence, and then there are varying challenges from island to island. And so for the SPDC, we've made intentional efforts to be on the island where we have a representative, and you would have met Agnes Clark earlier, who is the representative for Exuma. But to bring a whole team to support any type of entrepreneurial clinic. And when we come with partners, because we believe in collaboration. We can't do this by ourselves. We believe all hands on deck. But it's important that we, particularly for the Family Islands, we provide that in-person, that touch, so that we can help provide the guidance, the information that you need. I mean, we certainly embrace technology as well. And so anything that we do from a training aspect, there will always be a hybrid format or some virtual format. But even I still prefer pen and paper when I'm ready. And so sometimes the information is so much better when someone is there with you and guiding you through it, and we understand that that is a need. The other part of it is, don't be afraid to approach the SPDC. You know, through some of our surveys, we understand that there is a fear to access funds. There is a fear to understand the risk. But we are here to support you with our partners to make sure that you are making those calculated risks when it comes to business.
All right, well, thank you so much for that. So I like that you touched on digitizing and technology and what that looks like. And so we're going to toss it to a quick break right now, but when we come back, I want to get a little bit more into modernizing businesses, right? Not just, like you say, the pen and paper and the cash registers. How do we now take Exuma and the Bahamas global? You're watching The Rundown. We'll be right back.
We're here at the Nassau Village Community Center project, where over the past 17 months, we've hired over 20 Bahamian subcontractors to bring this beautiful project to fruition.
I've been living in Nassau Village for more than 19 years, and to see a project like this bring great joy and pride to me.
This state-of-the-art multi-purpose community center will serve as a crime-fighting initiative in the community. Also help with the education of our kids in this community and a hurricane shelter.
Yeah, and it also shows what we as Bahamians can achieve when we work hand in hand with each other.
We have the technical know-how, and we can pretty much deliver on any project here in the Bahamas or in the world.
Bahamas Stripe and the Bahamian Company, they prove that they believe in Bahamians.
Based on the outcome of this project, I don't think they're disappointed in giving a small person an opportunity to do a job such as this.
The more opportunity they get, the more opportunity we will get.
If you look around and see the work done so far, it just shows what we as Bahamians can do.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting tingsybahamas.com.
Summer in the Bahamas. The weather is hot, but not as hot as the ZNS summer packages. Get ads on ZNS TV or ZNS Radio Network or the TV community page, or a combination of all three. ZNS has got you covered with great prices, whatever package you choose. Book before June 7th and get the local Federation Championship Baseball bonus full of all kinds of extras free of charge. Contact your account executive or call ZNS Sales at 502-3800 today. Hot summer package rates valid until July 31st.
Hi, Phil Swift here for the Flex Seal family of flood protection products. Our flood protection products are specifically designed to work together in order to create multiple layers of super strong protection. All these windows, doors, seams, and openings have all been sealed up tight. Now there's a new way to protect your home or business from damaging floodwaters. Get the removable Flex Seal family of flood protection products.
I am a master plumber by profession. I've been doing plumbing for over 40-odd years. When I was 9 months old, I was diagnosed with polio. To me, living with polio, I took it the way it is. I never allowed my polio to get in my way of anything. In fact, I love when people doubt me, and I just prove them wrong. And let me tell you, in the world, you could only find a plumber as good as me, but you ain't gonna find no plumber better than me. People with disability, they just need a chance. In this program, I feel so encouraged. Most of the mentors have different kind of disability, but disabilities like me. Sharing and caring and showing so much support with people with disability. They would encourage you to go beyond. I wish this was around a long time ago. Right now, I would have been a millionaire. You out there who have a disability, don't be afraid. Take the step. If you believe it, you could achieve it. And remember one thing, ain't no one better than me, and ain't no one better than y'all. God made all us equal.
For more information about how the SBDC can help your small business to make a big impact, give us a call at 461-7232 or visit sbdcbahamas.com.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. This is The Rundown. So we started a little bit before the break to talk about technological advancement and digitizing and modernizing our business. So to you, Mr. Hanna, is there any advice for modernizing business offerings and, positioning your company to compete on the global market? We talk about e-commerce, we talk about online payment platforms. What advice would you have there?
Thank you for the question. So what I would say to businesses that are looking to take their business to the next level is really to be open to moving into that digital space. When I say digital space, I'm talking about using these e-commerce platforms such as Tingsy, such as Street Smart 242, and also looking at accepting different methods of payment. I find that there's a reluctance for some business people. They've been so accustomed to, that cash and sight costs no fight, they like to say. But it's equally as beneficial to be able to accept alternative forms of payment, right? And we know that Central Bank would have launched their $100 program in Exuma a few years back, and we do have, some adoption, but I think that there's an opportunity for greater adoption. When we think about the movement of funds, the cost that it may take, right? Obviously I'm a banker, and I hear stories of clients that have to travel from another key, right? So imagine you're traveling from Stanley Key to come to the bank, to the ATM, and unfortunately, the ATM
on that
is not
one day.
So you just, you basically spent your money to take a ferry or a charter, time to get to the branch. It's probably an hour drive to get to the branch to find out that the ATM may not be working, or you're not able to realize those services. So I think that the adoption of digital currency like the $100 is going to be crucial to businesses moving forward, and just for us to transact and do business. I mean, quite often I may have a client come in, they withdraw some money, and they go outside, they give the money to the person that they had the money for, and that person comes in and deposits the money to their account, right? So all of this could have been done with a simple transfer, right? But because we're so accustomed to cash in hand and, kind of resistant to exploring those digital payment options, we make things a little bit difficult, right? You could have done that from the comfort of your home whilst, enjoying your favorite beverage in your bed with a click of a button.
Yeah.
So definitely being open to digital payments and the e-commerce platforms such as Tingsy and Street Smart, I think, is the way for us to continue to grow our businesses here.
And again, Mr. Bo, there's fair there as well, because I've heard Bahamians say, I ain't putting my money. What? You on my on this card? What's on this card? I don't know what on this card. I want to see my money. So how do we change that mindset? How do we grow that mindset to get more Bahamians to understand, like DPM Cooper said, the not so old and the old? There are a lot of people, who just don't believe in digital currency. How do we change that?
Well, it's and this is one where I could say, and my counterparts don't like when I say this, the banks have failed in terms of educating and appreciating that a spoonful of sugar helps medicine go down. How many persons speak with their children, grandchildren by WhatsApp, video conference, by FaceTime, by Zoom, Teams? Go back 10 years, you only knew whether you pick up the phone and you physically engage with them. Go back 30 years, when me and the DPM was in university, his old maybe 40, you were sending a letter and literally waiting 2 weeks for a response. So we've evolved in our lives, but we've not translated that into our financial understanding and our financial advancement. We see the risks. When you have money in your pocket and it falls out, you've lost it. You have money on a card on your bank account and you drop your card, you call, you cancel it. We see it as saying, well, I don't trust the system, right? So what if someone hacks the system? Again, there are records and audit trails, backups and protections from the likes of the regulators that allow you to do so. And it is not suggesting that this is without some form of friction and without some form of risk, but there always is. And are we at a more limited basis? Persons look at cash and believe that it is cheaper. When you pay me in cash, I don't pay the bank for the merchant discount rate for my card terminal. But what's the cost of cash? I need a security officer if I'm handling hard cash or large amounts of cash. That's a salary. I need probably a safe place to locate it and maybe an armored car or certainly armed processes to move it from one location to the next. I have, unfortunately, the viewpoint of $1 for the business, $1 for me, $1 for the business, $1 for me. So I have pilferage and I have losses that I have from those persons who are accessing it. I have the actual fire, hurricane, flood, all of those losses that will occur when I have this physical cash that I don't have when I get into the digital space. And we don't see the cost of cash because it is not upfront. We are paying that by expenses. But if we did a comparison and said, how much is it costing me on a digital platform to move, and how much is it costing me on a percent basis to handle cash? And Aaron spoke about even the travel to deposit it and the deposit fees and the other things that take place. So if we put them on a like-for-like basis and I eliminate the risk of loss that is associated with the physical currency, then you will find that persons are more open to it. But the fear comes about because we see it as being different in our everyday lives. You know, no one has cable TV now because they stream everything, except me because I don't know how to work it. You know, no one really engages in physical meetings, and almost that becomes annoying from a business perspective because what's the first thing people ask for? What's the Zoom link, right? And we've become depersonalized because not even the screens are open anymore. But we've become comfortable with who are we talking to behind a black screen, but we've lost confidence in a system that has multiple players to it. But like I go back and say, the banking sector, the financial services sector, the regulator has responsibility to bear in this, because whilst these things were seen as natural and evolutionary, we assumed that everyone was going to adopt and accept it in the same manner, as opposed to taking it to the persons at the level that they required. And, you know, I put it this way. There's an industry in this country that has gone digital with the movement of funds, etc., right, whether it should or it shouldn't, and obviously they got to the people.
Well,
the banks have to learn to do the same thing.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. That was great. I want to segue, though, now, because I know you guys are here because you want to hear about opportunities. You want to hear about how you can start businesses or move your businesses forward. So back to Ms. Roll from the SPDC and some of your most current initiatives. One in particular, the fly fishing initiative, right? So that plays a crucial role in our ecotourism, and according to what I read, it contributed some $169 million and 7,800 jobs in 2018. Talk to us about the fly fishing initiative and how Exumians can take advantage of that and why it's important.
Yeah, so we in past have always done initiatives around agriculture and fisheries, so commercial fishing. We then, through our partnership with the Bahamas Fly Fishing Association, realized that there should be greater focus specifically on fly fishing. We know that the top 1% globally use that as a form of entertainment. We also learned that we have the best flats in the world. And so, again, utilizing our very own natural resources to empower Bahamians, which should be a Bahamian-owned industry. And all of that is the reason why we launched the initiative. One, to bring awareness to the industry, but two, to focus to where Exuma is, I think, perhaps one of the third islands that have some of the best flats. And that industry itself is so robust. There are bone fishing, fly fishing lodges here that can take advantage of that program itself. That program allows for the flats guides to become certified. It allows for funding for that certification. It allows for funding in terms of equipment towards the fly fishing. So whether it's the boats itself, and I'm not technically sound in terms of the particular equipments that are needed, but the engine and all of the other pieces and elements and instruments that are needed. You know, we've provided where it's up to $40,000 in funding for that. So that we just launched it initially. We intend to do a second tranche because we're wrapping up that particular program. In addition to that, we launched our Crafting the Bahamas, right, Ayanthia? And I want to talk about that because we still have a number of Bahamians who are artisans and who produce really great work, whether it's straw, whether it's jewelry production, and they do it using authentically Bahamian products, raw materials. it could be coconut, it could be conch shells, those types of things. And it is produced at such a high quality. Now, I'll be honest with you, we need to help those who are producing it on a mass scale, where we want to make sure that that's something that we can get on a regional scale, right? There's still opportunity within the local market, because we're trying to get those who are doing it in Red Bay's Andros to patronize those in Exuma, to get it to clients in New Providence. And that's the domestic market. And we thought that the Tingsy platform, that marketplace, would be the best way in doing that, at least to help and support. But we're focused on authentically Bahamian products, these straw designer fashionable bags, and not just the purses, but the work bags. We have entrepreneurs who are designing sandals, Bahamians, fashionable sandals. And so these are the type of products that we want to revive throughout the Bahamas, including Exuma.
All right, thank you so much for that. So as I was scrolling our live stream on Facebook, we have Joan Rowland. She is questioning if the infrastructure in Exuma, will keep pace with the growth that we are encouraging. DPM, how would you respond to that?
I believe Ms. Joan Rowe lives here or spends considerable time here, so she would be aware of the significant investment in infrastructure that we've seen over the last 5 years in particular, more than $250 million. Roads from one end of Exuma to the next. The airport is underway again. We're seeing the development of bridges and docks and all across the island of Exuma and the Exuma Keys. So I want to thank Ms. Roll for asking this question. We do have significant foreign direct investments coming to the island of Exuma. People are fighting to be here, as you know. This is the investment capital of the region right now. We have well in excess of $2 billion of foreign direct investments coming in. And the reality is that we've gotten caught behind the 8 ball as it relates to infrastructure, but we're catching up. We're making significant inroads right now in terms of preparing for the future. Wherever there is a problem, though, I invite Exumians to see an opportunity and not just focus on the problem, not just sit and complain about it, but to offer themselves, to participate, to ask what we can do to help. We must build Exuma together with our own hands. As Member of Parliament, I am going to do my part, and I know Exumians will join in and do their part as well. I want to thank Ms. Joan Roll for assisting and being a part of the solution.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that response. So I may have some questions, but I think the audience tonight may have some better questions. They're on the ground. They're the ones who live here. They want to thrive here. They want to start businesses here. And so we're going to toss it to a quick break. But when we come back, we'll have a quick Q&A for our audience. We'll be right back.
Got termites and need to get rid of them fast? Trust Rentokil Initial. With over 60 years experience in the Bahamas, the global brand, training, and expertise can't be beat. Only Rentokil Initial gives you a 3-year warranty and payment plan options on termite fumigation. No one can match the range of treatments we offer, such as fumigation, pre-construction treatments, termite monitoring, and more. No matter where you are in the Bahamas, we will come to you. When it comes to complete termite eradication, there's only one name, Rentokil Initial.
Fashion was something that I've always loved. I always, as a child, loved to see women just impeccably dressed. But my thing was drawing the looks and mixing colors, and fashion was in my blood. My name is Dr. Jillian Curry Williams, and I'm the designer for Remilda Rose Designs. What sets me apart, that I pay attention to detail. Like, I have an eye for detail. I pay attention to the construction of my garment. I want to make sure that when my garment is completed, that you can wear that on the wrong side or the right side because it's impeccably made. I put my personality into my passion. Well, the fabric of hope was inspired by my father. My father had cancer, and I would go with him to treatments and seeing everybody just look despondent and dreary. And one day this lady dropped her mom off and her mother fell when she got inside, and I was like, wow, like God, like I'm only a fashion designer. Like, what can I do to assist these people? I know God had me to create it to inspire persons with cancer or any illness that there's hope, that there is light at the end of that tunnel. The encouraging word I would give to women, it's been in my heart for a couple of days, to speak to the older women who may feel that I'm 40, what can I do? I'm 50, what can I do? And that's when the fire in us kicks in. We've had the work experience. We've passed all those tests. So take that idea that God has given you and put it to use. This is where it all begins.
To learn more about the Women Entrepreneurs Initiative, visit our website or contact us at 461-7232. And remember, empowered women empower women.
Rousing round of applause from Exuma tonight. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing night. We've gotten so much information. I've learned so much. But we want to toss it now to the audience for some questions. I think they may want to know how everything you said here tonight will personally impact them, impact their lives, and impact their future. So if we have anyone wanting to ask the DPM, Ms. Roll, Mr. Hannah, or Mr. Bo a question, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good night, everybody. So my question is piggybacking off of what Ms. Roll asked in the Facebook Live about infrastructure. So we're being asked or suggested that, you know, Exuma needs hotel rooms, it needs short-term and long-term rental spaces, but there are still places in Exuma that don't have basic infrastructure like access to the water grid and access to the electricity grid. So what kind of support is being provided for people who are in those more remote places, especially me, somebody who's living in Little Exuma? Thank you.
Thank you for asking. You've given me a great opportunity to highlight some of the things that we're doing and have been doing. Little Exuma is getting running water for the first time. I've waited for it all my life. For 50 years in Forbesville, I've been waiting for running water. I'm delighted to be the MP that make it happen. Thank you for asking. We're also doing running water in Baratari. We've replaced water mains in Georgetown. We've had poor water pressure in Rural Town. And now that problem is gone, I hope, forever. So the reality is we're investing in infrastructure. I want to thank the Water and Sewage Corporation. We are also part of the energy reform initiatives. We will ultimately get a solar-powered plant here for the island of Exuma that's going to hopefully make power more reliable here. You know already about the roads and the airports and the docks all across the island. I think with 365 islands in the Exuma chain alone, we must always remember that Staniel Key needs a bridge. They've gotten one. Black Point needs a dock. They're going to get one. Black Point needs an airport. We're working on that. Staniel Key needs a new runway. Farmers Key needs something. All of these islands, and Ragged Island too, are all a part of the chain that we must take care of. And the reality of it is that we must be incremental, we must be intentional, and we're doing just that. More than $250 million invested in infrastructure over the last 3.5 years. I think we're getting our share, Exuma.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone. My name is Namika Forbes, a new young entrepreneur on the island of Exuma. I'm from the island of Exuma, the granddaughter of the late Livingston Marshall Sr. and Shirley Marshall. I had a question for you, Mr. Cooper, as well as you, Ms. Roll. What are you guys now going to do for younger entrepreneurs on the island? What initiative does the SBDC have that is tailored specifically to younger entrepreneurs? I know in the island of Exuma we have a lot of older entrepreneurs who have been in the game for generations. So what are we going to do for people like myself who now want to step into the entrepreneurial space?
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I hope I get to chat with you after the show. But in terms of young entrepreneurs, so SBDC in particular did a Young Entrepreneurs Initiative, and that was open to all islands, including Exuma. So there were some Exumians, young entrepreneurs in Exuma who were able to capture some of that funding and support from the SBDC. We intend to launch that program again. And so that's specifically between the age of 18 and 35 for young entrepreneurs, right? Outside of that, there is no barrier for a young entrepreneur to apply to any other program that we have. So feel free, anything that we have a young entrepreneurs component as part of our our Entrepreneurs with Disabilities program, and we're doing that in partnership with the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture as well. So a specific program, yes. We tend to tailor our programs to the needs of the public, to the needs of our entrepreneurs. So we certainly offer that.
Let me just tell you that these programs work. There was always a bit of skepticism about bureaucracy, etc., but we saw it with the Tourism Development Corporation's grants for short-term rentals. People applied, they got money, it happened quickly. So I've long been skeptical about Exumians not accessing these opportunities or not participating, but the reality is they work. We're seeing Bahamians get grants and loans and equity funding for their businesses. So I invite you, when you see an opportunity, to apply. We continue to put on entrepreneurial programs. My office is available for assistance with business planning, etc. We encourage young entrepreneurs like you to get involved actively.
Thank you. Awesome.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Reno Curling, and my question is for the DPM. Sandals closed, I think, in August. What is the timeline on Sandals? Because yesterday I saw where Inland Revenue is now selling our pieces of the beach villas. So can you give us an update on the timeline about the conversion? I have more questions, but I'll
Sandals is committed to investing and converting and spending $100 million into converting Sandals to beaches. It's public knowledge that Sandals has got some issues. You got to render to Caesar what's due unto Caesar. I think they're working it out. I think they're going to be okay in terms of that discussion. And once that is all settled, I'm satisfied that all of the agreements are already completed and in place, and they're going to make an announcement themselves in terms of when they're actually going to begin construction. I am advised that they have materials, up to $20 million worth of materials on the docks in Florida waiting to come. They have the agreements in the Hotel Encouragement Act. The government has done its part, and now it's up to Sandals to settle the outstanding matters, complete their agreements, and we'll be off to the races. I can't say more than that, but I think I've said enough.
Okay, and I'll use one more. Anybody can answer it. When FTX was launching, the Bahamas was supposed to be the crypto capital of the world. Where does the government currently stand as it relates to cryptocurrencies, and how does Bahamians learn more about it so that they could be a part of the generation that's booming in a few years?
Reno, thanks for getting in 2 questions tonight. You've been grabalicious. Today I said in the House that I envisioned the Bahamas being the digital assets capital of the Americas. I believe that we've had financial services, we're building on that ecosystem. I expect that we are going to continue to build around the new legislation we've put in place, and we're going to be successful in this space. We've pivoted before, we've been successful before, we've been innovative and progressive, and we're going to do it again.
Before we take any more questions for our broadcast, we just want to officially end our show. As long as our panelists are here and willing to answer the questions, we'll allow more questions from the floor. But this has been the Exuma Town Hall Road to Economic Empowerment on the Rundown. Thank you so much to our panelists, DPM Cooper, Samantha Roll, Aaron Hanna, and Gowan Vo for being here tonight. All right, you guys. This has been the Rundown from Georgetown Exuma. I'm Ayanthea Ferguson. Good night, Bahamas.
At Fort Montague, I'm Opal Roach. This is ZNS. You and Your Money is brought to you by the National Insurance Board.
Sickness on the job is a possibility. During this time, the NIB Sickness Benefit works for you. Sickness benefit is for qualified insured persons unable to work as a result of a specified disease, physical, or mental disablement. To claim, complete the Med 1 benefit form. Section A of the form is completed by a physician only, verifying one's inability to work, citing the ICD-9 code, a description of diagnosis, and indicating the period of incapacity not exceeding 13 weeks per Med 1 form. The physician signs and dates the form and affixes an official stamp. Forms completed by physicians in another country